dual unit conversions. So in this video, we're going to go over when we need to convert 2 units. And this can be like this. So the first example, a car is going 110 feet per second. Convert 110 feet per second to miles per hour. So we're not only changing the distance, but we're changing the time that we express it, right? And so it's still going to be the same measurement, right? But it's just going to be through a different means to measure that. So let's go ahead and look at this. So if we have 110 feet per second, right? And we need to change feet to miles, and we need to change, right? So seconds to hour. So how do we do this, right? Well, what do we know? So let's go over, if we go feet to miles, well, we know 5,280 feet is equal to 1 mile. Right, we can look up this in the chart on the conversions, right, the conversion sheet at the beginning of the workbook. Then what else do we know? We know that 60 seconds, right, is equal to 1 minute. But that's not hours, right? So we need to go ahead and go 60 minutes then, right, is equal to 1 hour, right? These are all the relationships that we probably need to know. So let's go ahead and now start to set up our conversion. So if we have feet per second, let's go ahead and deal with the feet first. So if we're going to use this, right, we can either go like this or like, right, or we can put this on top. And so when we think about it, if we need to get to miles per hour, that means we need to get miles on the top, and we need to, right, get rid of this feet. So let's go ahead and first, is it going to be this one, right here, or this one? Well, it's going to be this one, right, because we need to get miles on the top. So let's go ahead and go 1 mile over 5,280 feet. So when we do that, right, we can get rid of feet that way, and we're left with miles, which is exactly what we want. So we're done with the distance. Now we need to go over to time. So if we look at time, we have seconds. So we're first probably going to look at this one. So we can either go 60 seconds over 1 minute, or 1 minute over 60 seconds. So let's go ahead and put, right then, so we need to use this one, because we need to get rid of these seconds. So if we do it like this, where we put the seconds on the top, then we can cancel this out, and we're left with minutes on the bottom. But we don't want minutes, right? We need hour. So we need to go one step further. So we need to go ahead and use this one. So like the last one, we're going to go 60, right? We're going to put the minutes on the top, because we need to go ahead and cancel out the bottom. So that's what I mean by, we need to do this again, where we cancel out what's on the bottom. And then we put 1 hour on the bottom there. And we're left with hours on the bottom. We got rid of the minutes and the seconds, so now we can go ahead and multiply all of this out. So let's go ahead and just rewrite this. So we have 110 times 1 times 60 times 60 on the top. On the bottom, we have 5,280 times 1 times 1. Then we're left with, right, miles over hour. So let's get the calculator out. So we have 110 times 1 would just be 110, so times 60 times 60, right? And so we get this really large number, and then we need to go ahead and just divide it by the 5,280, and what do we get? Well, we get right? So this is equal to 75 miles per hour, right? So if a car is going 110 feet per second, well, that's about 75 miles per hour. So let's go ahead and look at the next example. Example 2. A runner is going about 6.5 miles per hour. Convert 6.5 miles per hour to kilometers per minute. So we can see that we're going from miles, right, to the metric system here. And then we're going to go from hours to minutes. So let's go ahead and kind of map this out, because miles to kilometers is going to be a little bit of a map to get there. Like we're going to create like a road map, as we call it. So if we're going to go from miles, we know we can go from miles, right, to feet, right? A lot of times we do that. And what's the most important thing that remember to go between is we need to know, right, inches to centimeters. So if we're going to get from inches to centimeters, we need to go from feet to inches, then to centimeters. And then we always go from, right, centimeters, which is smaller than a meter. Then we're going to go to meters. And then we're going to go to kilometers. And so the reason we're doing this, right, centimeters is much smaller, right, than a meter. And a meter is much smaller than a kilometer. So we kind of just make these jumps here. So let's go ahead and write out these relationships, right? We know 1 mile is equal to 5,280 feet. We know 1 foot is equal to 12 inches. We know 1 inch is equal to 2.54 centimeters. And then we know 100 centimeters is equal to 1 meter. And we know 1,000 meters is equal to 1 kilometer. And so we can see all these relationships. We can write them all out. And if you aren't always sure where to go, just make sure you look at that conversion sheet and start writing down like relationships like this, right? Or you can like look at these different units, like 1 foot equals 12 inches, and make sure you always know if you're going between right system to the metric. We're going to usually use this, right? We will use this, right, for distance. So let's always remember that one, and then we can go ahead and fill in the rest, right? And so always just start. And this can take a lot of practice. It could be, maybe this is new for you, but just make sure you practice. So let's go over this. So we have 6.5 miles per hour, right? And so let's go ahead and convert that to kilometers. So we're going to convert, right, just the miles first. So we need to get rid of miles. So we would put miles on the top. And then we would put the feet on the top, right, because of this. And think about this way. And then we need to put the feet on the bottom to cancel out these feet. So we'd put the inches on the top there. And if we need to go ahead and cancel inches, we put that on the bottom. Put centimeters on the top. Then we put centimeters on the bottom here to cancel out these right here, which gets to meters. And then meters to kilometers. So let's go ahead and fill this in. 1 mile, 5,280 feet. 1 foot is equal to 12 inches, right? We're just filling this in. So now we have 1 inch is equal to 2.54 centimeters. We know 100 centimeters is equal to 1 meter. And 1,000 meters is equal to 1 kilometer. So let's go ahead and just go back and cancel out our units. And notice we got kilometers on the top, which is exactly what we want. So now let's go ahead and look at time. So we're just going to go from hours to minutes. Well, we know 1 hour is equal to 60 minutes. And so we can cancel out the hours because we put that on the top. And we're left with minutes, which is exactly what we want. We have kilometers per minute. right? Kilometers on the top, minutes on the bottom. So let's go ahead and rewrite all of this. So we have 6.5 times 5,280 times 12 times 2.54 times 1 times 1 times 1. Right, we don't really even have to do that, but I just want to show that, right, we did all that. So you have 1 times 1 times 1 times 100 times 1,000 times 60. And this is in kilometers per minute. So let's get our calculators. So let's go ahead and go 6.5 times 5,280 times 12 times 2.54, which is equal to this very large number. So let's go ahead and write that. Then we'll go ahead and do the bottom. So we have 100 times 1,000, right, and then times 60. So what do we get? So we get this also very large number. And so when we write this all out, right, so we have now our numbers. Let's go ahead and get the calculator back out, and then we can go ahead and do this division. So we'll take the larger number from the top, right? And divided by. And what do we get? Well, we get 0.17. And we'll just go round to the nearest hundredth. So 0.17. And this is in kilometers per minute. So that's how fast the person is running.